What's up, Glamazons? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be talking about the 7 wrong reasons to be in a relationship. So if you're interested in hearing about those, maybe you're wondering if you're in the right relationship and want to see if one of the reasons you're in a relationship is on this list, then keep on watching. And if you do like this video, please let me and YouTube know by giving it a thumbs up. Alright. It, no lie, takes me like 4 times longer to get ready to film than it does to actually film. My camera battery already died once and I hadn't even hit record yet. Okay. So there's a lot of reasons to be in a relationship. Some of them are the wrong reasons. So this is from the book, Are You the One for Me? So 7 wrong reasons to be in a relationship. Number 1, so pressure. Are most of your friends part of a couple but you are still single? Are you unmarried and over 30? Are you the last person in your family to settle down? I'm an only child, thank God, because I probably would be the last person. Are you recently divorced? Yeah. Oh, I got all 3 right. If you answered yes to any of these questions, you probably already know about pressure. Pressure is the influence that your friends, family, society, and your own programming place upon you that gives you the message you should be in a relationship, and if you're not, there's something wrong with you. When we feel pressured by those outside influences or our own internal ones, we may choose to get involved in relationships we would normally not choose. Now, this is definitely descriptive of my relationships and dating history in the past, as I've done a lot of self-discovery and personal growth. I have been able to transform a lot of my negative beliefs about myself, like you're not worthy of love, like who could ever love you, you're ugly, you know, everything, to positive beliefs in order to change my mindset. I've identified my values. I have literally written out my boundaries. Okay, so here are some of the different kinds of pressure. Age pressure. A woman meets a 37-year-old man who has never been married and calls up her friend to share her excitement. Her friend's first reaction is, he's 37 and I'm married, what's wrong with him? I hate to admit it, but I've said that too. And looking back, that was wrong. You attend the wedding of your first cousin. During the reception, you hear the same thing from each of your relatives. So you're almost 30. Almost 30, I wish. Why aren't you married? This is age pressure. The attitude that if you're over a certain age and not seriously involved with someone, you aren't normal. Of course, just what that age is varies from person to person. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you probably have an age by which you think you should be married or in a permanent relationship. That number might have come from things your family talked about when you were growing up, or what ages your older brothers and sisters were when they got married, or just an image of what age a person is really grown up. I definitely believed this when I was younger. I thought the map to the perfect life was do good in school, get a formal education, get a career, get married, have a family. So I had done all of those. I was almost done with school, ready to start my career. I had been in a relationship since I was 17, someone who was 5 years older than me, and got married at 21. I had only been with one other person, and that was my high school boyfriend. Like, what was I thinking? How could I possibly know he was the absolutely right person for me when I've only been with one other person? I didn't. It could have been anyone. It could have been some random Bob off the street. I just wanted a man to fill that role in my life, to feel like I had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. To understand the origins of age pressure, we need to go back thousands of years in history. The economic and physical survival of a family was based on how many children there were. The sooner a young woman married and started her own family, the better. It strengthened the family group or clan by adding to their number, and in families who owned property, guaranteed that there would be inheritors to keep what the ancestors accumulated. So that obviously influences society today. Whether the pressure comes from your family, your friends, or from your own sense of urgency, the result is the same. You may compromise your standards for an acceptable partner just to have a relationship with someone. Oh boy, I have. You don't even know, lady. Alright, pressure from family and friends. Some people are very susceptible to the opinions of their family and friends and allow themselves to be pressured to get into or stay in relationships that aren't making them happy. If you don't have a strong sense of yourself, or if you are very enmeshed with your family members, you could end up having a relationship because everyone thinks you should, not because you truly want to be with that person. When you make a decision to be with someone because of the pressure you feel, rather than because the person seems right for you, you are giving your power away and ensuring an unhappy end to your love story. If you have not been in this position often or in it now, ask yourself what you want and need and give that first priority over what anyone else thinks. When I was 21, I did not know who I was. I didn't really start to get to know who I was until about 30. So yeah, I definitely shouldn't have got married. You're lying in bed at night alone. It's been a long time since you've been in love, let alone made love. Your body, so this is number 2, loneliness and depression. Your body feels empty, your heart hurts. Your mind thinks back to your ex and the ones before him and remembers the happy times when you had someone to hold you and make you feel special. And then you hear yourself say, maybe I should just call him up and tell him I miss him. It can't hurt, can it? Maybe it wasn't so bad after all. Anyways, it's just, okay. It's a Friday afternoon, and once again, you have nothing exciting planned for the weekend. You're tired of being single. You're beginning to dread Saturday nights, running a video and sitting home without anyone to share it with. Then you remember the guy you met at the car wash who asked you out for Saturday night. You told him you would get back to him today when you found out if you were free. Of course you're free. But do you want to go out with him? He seemed kind of boring. You decide to call him. After all, it's better than a date with the video store. We can all relate to these stories because we have all experienced loneliness periods in our lives when we felt so emotionally empty that we were desperate for someone, anyone to love. But unfortunately, what starts out as a lonely act of reaching out to another human being can end in a very complicated and hurtful relationship. Be much pickier. Don't lower your standards just because your feeling times are tough. You're not a store trying to get rid of merchandise that puts it on sale. You are a valuable, lovable human being who deserves to have the kind of relationship you want, not just the kind you think you can get. Yeah, my standards are definitely up there. I don't even know if I really had any standards when I was younger. If I did, there weren't many. It'd be basically anyone I could find that would date me. Anyways, number 3, sexual hunger. Can relate to this one too. Have you ever been so horny that you talked yourself into believing you cared much more for someone than you actually did? Have you ever overlooked things in a partner you didn't like just so you could prolong your relationship and keep having sex? You know what I'm talking about. It's been a while since you've had sex and you get involved with someone you normally wouldn't be with because you feel the hunger. Oh my god, you guys. When I was setting up this remote thing for my camera, I needed AAA batteries. AAA batteries, I mean. So I had to take them out of my vibrator. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, this is a sad day. Normally I would be stealing batteries from another device in the house for my vibrator. And now I'm actually taking them out. Yeah, it's been a long time, okay? Eventually you face the fact that the relationship is not what you want and you have to admit to yourself that you were probably just horny. How embarrassing, how humiliating, but how common. I've heard countless stories of people who ended up in relationships simply because they wanted the intimacy of physical touching and the release of sex so badly that they took whomever they could get. When you are feeling this kind of sexual pressure, you become good at having a relationship with just about anyone and at making tremendous compromises to convince yourself you are doing the right thing. Here's an important point. I'm not talking about falling in love with someone because you have intense sexual chemistry. I call that lust blindness, and we'll talk about it in chapter 4. With sexual hunger, you may not even feel attracted to the person you get involved with. You just want to be with someone. So then, what's your sexual hunger limit? I think I have a pretty high tolerance. If you knew how long it's been, you would know that. Do you have a sexual hunger limit? A period of time beyond which you feel something is wrong because you haven't been sexually active? If you're single, ask yourself what your limit is. A few months or a year or more? Oh my gosh, when I was watching Too Hot to Handle, these guys are like, and the one guy like had to jerk off. It'd been like 3 days. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? It's been, well, no. It's been months, but before that, like years. All right, you might have to look back through your calendar or date book to figure it out, but it's well worth the effort. Remember, I'm not talking about what makes you physically uncomfortable, but what time period makes you psychologically uncomfortable. It's good to know your sexual hunger limit. You might want to put it in your calendar as the time approaches so you can be careful to avoid getting involved with someone for the wrong reason. Hold on, let me get my planner. I need to write that in there. Oh. All right, wrong reason number 4. Distraction from your own life. Woo! It wasn't until I stopped dating and was by myself for a long period of time, I realized how much relationships just distracted me from my life and sitting with myself and knowing myself. Okay. Have you ever thought about how distracting it is to be in love? Like, imagine how much time and energy you spent in these relationships that didn't work. And what if you had put that time and energy into something else? Like, I could be Oprah right now. All right. You think about how the other person is feeling, what they need, what makes them happy, how your behavior affects theirs, just to name a few examples. It's no wonder then that we often get into relationships not because we found the right person, but as an excuse to avoid our own life. All right, read each of the following statements and ask yourself if it applies to you now or if it has applied it to you in the past. I have a history in unfulfilling relationships. I don't go for long periods of time without being in a relationship. The relationships I get involved in are very time consuming. There are many areas of my own life that are not operating the way I would like them to. There are projects or dreams I've had for a while that I haven't followed through with. When I'm in a relationship, I devote less time to my own interests and friends. Well, that's my best friend right there. Still, I tend to become romantically involved with my partners rather quickly. As a rule, I don't enjoy spending time alone and would rather be with other people. When I'm working on a task or project, I tend to become easily distracted by phone calls, unimportant errands, other people's needs, etc. Oh, I do still do that. I find it easier to motivate others to solve their problems than to motivate myself to solve my own. No. If you relate to several of these statements, you may be using relationships to avoid taking care of your own life. What you've been thinking is your obsession with love could very well be your addiction to not facing yourself and your problems. After all, if you're busy loving someone else and working full-time to make them happy and meet their needs, you won't have much time left to meet your own needs or realize your own dreams. Some people have relationships because they are bored with the lack of passion and purpose in their lives. And rather than looking within to find out why they feel that way, they get involved in a love affair and makes that their purpose. Yep. These relationships never work because you aren't in love with the person. You're in love with the distraction. And when the relationships end, you're left with yourself once more. All right, wrong reason number 5, to avoid growing up. I definitely won't be able to relate to this one. I'm too mature. Okay, some people get into relationships not because they are ready to share the fullness of their own life with someone, but because they want to be taken care of. Oh yeah, I've dated a few of those. These men and women are trying to avoid growing up, so they find partners who will play mommy and daddy roles for them. I guess I can relate to this. These relationships are not about learning and growing together. They are about dependence. Yeah, I was very codependent. You may be in this kind of relationship when there is a big age difference between you and your partner. There is a big difference in the financial and professional success of you and your partner. There is a big contrast in the life experience level of you and your partner. One partner is always looking to the other for help and advice. In these relationships, you convince yourself you are in love when in reality you have simply found a replacement for mom or dad. Alright. However, when you live out these roles, the majority of the time, you are using the relationship to remain in a childlike or irresponsible state. Wrong reason number 6, guilt. Have you ever ended up in a relationship because you didn't want to hurt the other person's feelings by rejecting him? No, I actually haven't. Have you ever stayed in a relationship much longer than you should have because you were afraid to hurt your partner by leaving? No, I was afraid to be alone. Have you ever been with someone you knew cared more about you than you did about them, but you felt too guilty to break it off? Oh, yeah, actually I have. Never mind. Only once though. If you answered yes to any of these questions, you understand the 6th wrong reason to fall in love, guilt. Guilt might seem like a strange motivation for getting into or staying in a relationship, but it happens all the time. You tell yourself it's love, but it's really sympathy, or in extreme cases, pity. You remain in romantic situations not because you want to stay, but because you are afraid of what might happen if you left. You are a prisoner of guilt. Why did I read these books when I was younger? If you've been a prisoner of guilt in the past or in a relationship now only because you feel guilty about leaving, think about this. When you decide to be with someone out of guilt and not love, you are ripping them and yourself off. Wrong reason number 7, to fill up your emotional or spiritual emptiness. I believe that each of us is here in this lifetime struggling to understand our relationship with the whole and longing to feel part of and not separate from the universe we inhabit. This is our spiritual hunger, the urge to connect in some way with a higher power or meaning. And we are also here as children in grown-up bodies, yearning to feel loved, accepted, and whole. This is our human hunger, the urge to connect with others around us. That is true. The wonderful thing about love is that it can fill you with a sense of joy and belonging unlike anything else in the world, and in this way satisfies those hungers. Love gives meaning to your existence and heightened purpose to everything you do. Yet these same gifts can be dangerous when they are used to try to fill an emotional or spiritual void you carry in a relationship, a void you should be learning to fill yourself. A truly healthy relationship will give both people a heightened appreciation of the magic and mystery of the universe and will open the doors for their spiritual growth. It will also help each person heal the wounds of childhood and gain a stronger sense of themselves through feeling so loved and accepted by their partner. But when you enter a relationship with a tremendous amount of emotional and spiritual emptiness, you risk creating pain for yourself and your partner. There are 2 problems that arise when you are emotionally or spiritually empty. Number 1, you get involved in relationships to fill yourself up rather than because you have found someone who is right for you. So, yeah, this is definitely why I have been, the majority of why I have been single for as long as I have. Well, I don't want to say majority, but a big part is because I have been working on myself, because I was in a lot of unhealthy, toxic relationships, but even though back then, you know, I would blame it on him. Oh, he cheated. Oh, this. Yes, those are horrible things. I've had my heart broken. I was betrayed. But I played a part in that dynamic as well. I was codependent, and I didn't know myself because I didn't take the time to get to know myself or what I wanted, what I valued, because I was too busy being in relationships. So now I finally know myself, and I'm learning more about myself and trying to heal a lot of the emotional wounds I have. And it's taken a long time because there's quite a few. I'm just trying to make myself the best person I can be so that when I am in a relationship, it can be a, you know, solid, healthy one. Alright, so those are the 7 wrong reasons to fall in love, and I wanted to do this video because the concept that if you're single, there's something wrong with you just frustrates me to my core. And because when I was in a relationship, I'm going to say probably 99 to 100% of the time, it was for the wrong reasons. And you don't have to settle for less. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you. I will see you next time.